Hi there and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of the palettes from the new Unzipped line from Lorac, and the one that I have is the Ocean Sunset. Yes, the mountain one and the desert one sold out quickly as did this one, so I was not able to pick those up. To be honest with you, I probably won't be picking up desert. These are supposed to return to the shelves, though they are limited edition. They are bringing back more, and the thing is with desert, it's very much like a lot of the warm palettes that have been released lately, so I think I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one just because there are so many and I'm a cool tone girl. Unfortunately, the one that was probably the most cool of the palettes was Mountain, and that one, boom, sold out really quickly, so I won't be able to pick that one up yet, unless they which they're supposed to be re-releasing in them, thus this video. But then I'll go ahead and pick that one up because it had a little bit more cool tone than these. But this one was kind of the middling one, and that is Ocean Sunset. So what I like about this is that there are some, ones that are more neutral. Yes, they have a little bit of warm sheen, but they are very wearable by everyone. And then these are warm, of course, but like something like this is very neutral. This color is very neutral. These are cool tone. This is warm. So it's a nice mix of everything for everyone. So I really do like that. And it's a nice amount of satins and, I would call them satins more than shimmers for sure, which you'll see in the swatching. But yes. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and swatch these, and then I'm going to do a review because I have been wearing these all week to let you know how they work. Okay, so on to the swatching. So what I normally do is do this 3 times in a circle, just so you know the madness to my method. And what I will say is with Horizon, just feeling it is a little bit chalkier when it goes on my finger than the other 4, but these are like satin shimmers. I would actually consider these more satins. They're not quite shimmery enough to be a shimmer, but I'll show you that right here. There we go. So the first 3 are the kind of satin colors. They really aren't, I'm putting more on because you'll see they're not really opaque. So they kind of have to be built up to get the look that you want, and even then they may not fully get there, but I'm going to get to that a little bit later in the review. So the next one is the purple, which is the sea urchin. That is the name of it. Put that one there. It's a really pretty satin color, and a lot of these are very satiny, which is interesting because I expected a little bit more mattes, but it works because even though it is satin, it's not too over the top where it looks really shimmery. So I'm going to do the next 4. There we are. Really nice colors, and more of the matte colors are on the second row than on the top, which has more of those satins. And then lastly, there is Stingray, which is this kind of blue-gray color. And there we go. And what I love about that color is that a lot of the time with these blues, when you put it on, it becomes very muddied. It'll go to like this gray color. And it's like, where did the blue go? Well, you can see it's definitely there. So what I will say is that it's a very cohesive palette. It goes together quite well. I wasn't sure about the purple sea urchin, but it goes in really nicely with the rest of the colors. But Stingray at the bottom, it's a little bit odd. Again, I've mentioned in other videos that random blue that just kind of shows up, and that's Stingray. It just doesn't really fit in with the rest of the palette. And even seawater or salt water, I can see how people would go, huh? But it actually does work, and I feel like it works in this eye look too. And it actually is very versatile and works very well. So I didn't have a problem with that, but Stingray is a little bit of the head scratcher. It's a really nice color, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really use it that much. I feel like you could make it work by using something like Mother of Pearl on the lid, and then using it in the crease or in the outer V. So you could make it work. You could, but it's just kind of an interesting choice if you look at it with the rest of the colors. You can go for a very easy look of putting one of these 2 colors on the lid, even putting the sandbar on the lid as well, and then building it up with one of one of the two pinks or even horizon, and you can create a really easygoing look, throw something on the lid, throw something in the crease, put on some mascara, and you're out the door. So I really love that. Or you can really build together a really beautiful look or an interesting cohesive look with these colors, because they really do go together well. So I think it's a really smart palette, especially for this time of year. It's great for summer. I think it's great even going into fall. It really is a wonderful palette. If you're traveling, it's very, very light. So you just slip it into your purse. It's really light. The only thing that I don't like is there is no mirror. There's no mirror, and there is no brush, which is fine. I bring my own brushes, but it would have helped to have that. It's just this. And it's really interesting because the packaging threw me off at first, because this isn't just a design. It actually moves. So you can see when I pull it up, it goes up like this. At first I thought it was broken. I'm like, I bent it. And then I realized that this just wasn't for show. It do, which is interesting. I don't know what it really adds to it. At first it kind of threw me off, and sometimes when I'm grabbing it in the morning, I just want to open it and it's doing this. So, you know, it's a nice idea in theory, but you know, I don't really know if it adds anything. I'd rather have had the mirror. But I mean, I have mirrors everywhere, so you know, I carry them with me all the time in case I need it. It's no big deal. It really, yeah. So what's interesting is I did wear these for almost a full week to test every color out, again, except for Stingray, except for under the eye. And I generally find Lorac to be, it is a little bit more powdery, but not to the point where you hit it too much. There's a lot of fallout, but it's always good from my experience to go into Lorac with a very light hand, and it will serve you really well because it is very powdery, and usually it's good to tap it and get the extra color off because they can be really pigmented. What I will say about this collection, because I do have, I don't have any of the Mega Pros, though I ordered the first one that was re-released, and I should be getting that soon. So I haven't really worked with that, but I have worked with one of their regular palettes. I just got that, and I haven't got to work with it too much, so I don't want to go too in depth in that. But I've had the limited edition ones as well. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think the Unzipped series has a different formula than I'm used to from Lorac. I find them to all be a little bit powdery. The pigment's always really great. I love Lorac because the pigment is wonderful. I don't think there's too much fallout. And when you learn the learning curve of gently going in and then going onto your eye, it's gonna save you a lot of time. But even when you go in lightly, remember to tap your brush because these do tend to be more powdery. What I will say with these is that they're not as creamy as some of the other Lorac limited edition ones that I have gotten in the past. I feel like the formula is a little different. What I also will say is that usually with Lorac, they last all day on me. They really do, because I have really oily eyes. Well, I have oily skin in general. I mean, no matter how I prep my face, my eyes, the oil comes through like that, you know, within an hour. With the eyes a little bit differently, but the face, forget it. You know, it's really hard to keep matte. But as for the eyes, I've learned a way to make it so that some shadows will last all day. And Lorac is one of those companies where with their limited edition, I can put on, prep my eye the way that I normally do, and it will last all day. I could go from like 7 in the morning and then come home at 3 a.m. and it's still exactly the same way it was when I left, which is absolutely amazing. That didn't happen with the Unzipped as much for me. And I don't know why. So that tells me that the formula is a little bit different. So be wary of that if you are an oily skin girl, that it is different. And the colors go on beautifully. I do want to say that. They blend really well. They go on just gorgeously. It's so easy to create a look with these. Especially with the colors together, it really is just a win. I think this is just a nice palette in that respect. But they started to fade. The shimmers started to go, the shimmery satins, they started to disappear within a couple hours, and they were still there by the end of the day, but there wasn't much shimmer. Also the colors here, like if I used Horizon, which was the orangish yellow on the top, and then one of the pinks in the crease, and then the brown in the crease, they all kind of muddled together within 4 to 5 hours. So the oil kind of bled into it, changing it. And I tried 4 different primers and prepped my eyes, obviously, in 4 different ways to try to make it work. And it didn't last. And it kind of surprised me because Lorac's one of my go-to brands for keeping oil at bay. And it just didn't work with the Unzipped line, which was a little bit frustrating because I absolutely love these colors, but it just didn't have the lasting power, and it didn't wear away or put creases in my eye. I didn't get the crease, the wear away, but it just got oily and muddled because of the oil of my eye. It did wear well, depending on the color, for about 4 or 5 hours before it started to do that. The shimmers were the first ones to fail. So they, you know what? It was more mother of pearl. I will say that sea salt salt water, the green, did last a lot longer than this one and the other shimmers or the other satins. I really do feel like it did last longer. For some reason, sea salt really lasted well out of the palette more than some of the others. What I will say about sea salt, because it is kind of the standout color along with mother of pearl, they're such beautiful colors. Actually, all these 4 here specifically, you know, they just never really built up the way that I wanted. And you can kind of see it on the arm. They just never built up, and you build them up and you build them up and you build them up, and they just never. I'm wearing the sea salt or seawater, I keep calling it that, on my eye right now. And I finally got it to build up, but I had to use like setting spray, or I had to use water on a flat brush, because if you don't use, even using your finger, it didn't go on as well as I'd like. So you need some kind of adhesive, even like glue, you know, the eyeshadow glue or the glitter glue, something like that to make it more adhesive, which may be frustrating to some, but it definitely will go. But what I will say is I think sea salt definitely is supposed to be a shimmer, because when you put it onto your eye, I found that there was some shimmer and glitter around my eye. So be careful with it, because when you use it, it really does drop, and during the day I would see some glitter around my eye and have to do a cleanup. So though sea water is one of the most beautiful colors of the palette, it can be a little tricky and a little messy at times. Even after you have it on your eyes and I'd use the adhesive, I'd still found it around here, especially when I used it in the corner here, it would drop during the day. So it can be a little bit messy. I do really think that these are extremely blendable. They blend so well together. I think that this is a perfect palette from advanced to beginners, especially for beginners. If you're looking for a beginning palette and you want to try Lorac, this is a really good palette because the colors, you really can't go wrong. You're going to create a great eye look easily. So what do I think of the palette? You know, I really love it. The color scheme is just absolutely beautiful. Like I said, perfect for beginners. Easy to work with as long as you know go into the light hand and tap your brush. Everything blends together easily. When you blend the colors together, they don't get muddled, which I love, but it doesn't last as long as I had hoped it would, unfortunately, for me. So if you have normal to combinations or normal combination dry skin, these may work better for you. I don't know, but for me, the power, the lasting power wasn't as long as that I'm normally used to with Lorac. And I don't know if it's because there's been a change in formula for everything, though I've gotten recent palettes from limited edition and that wasn't the case. I think it just may be the Unzipped line just has a different formula. So, you know, I was a little bit disappointed with that, but I do think it's a beautiful, cohesive palette. As I said, you can go with the very easy look, you know, very easy out the door. You can take some of these colors that are a little bit more unique, like Stingray, and add together Horizon and Mother of Pearl and create a really unique kind of edgy look, which you wouldn't expect with a palette like this, because I think it's supposed to be more sunny California, hey, casual. So, but it's kind of interesting that you do have that option. So don't count Stingray out, even though it is a little bit odd. It is $42, so you have to think, is it really worth it to you? Because a lot of these colors are very, are most likely dupable. You may have a lot of these in your collection, but what I do like is it's nice to have it in one palette and go, because it really has everything except for a base color. That was the one thing that I felt like it was missing, was like a regular white color or a tan beigey color to put all over the eye and then work off of, because mother of pearl being like a satiny shimmery color, you don't necessarily want that all over your eye to prep. So I feel like a lighter kind of color to make everything transition together and to do a base color at the beginning was missing. You really don't have that. So I had to bring that in from a different palette. But beyond that, if you're traveling, these colors would go together really well. And it's really light, thin, in your purse, go. So I really do love that. So there's definitely some pros and cons to this palette. It isn't swaying me from picking up the Mountain one if it is re-released, but I do love this palette. I think it's easy to work with, love the colors, but you do have to build up some of the satins and shimmers, and the wear time isn't necessarily as great as I would like in comparison to some of Lorac's other lines. So that is my review today. Let me know if you were lucky enough to pick up any of these, which one you picked up. Are you having the same problems, or is it just my mutant oily eyes? Because I would love to hear. So until next time, have a fabulous day. I hope you always do, and see ya.